But Trump also issued a warning to Musk, saying he will face very serious consequences if he funds Democratic candidates to run against Republicans that vote in favor of the budget bill.
What if the world's most controversial tech billionaire decided to break his silence about the most polarizing political figure of our generation? What if everything you thought you knew about Donald Trump, his rise, his deals, his so-called enemies and allies, was only half the truth? Elon Musk, a man who has reshaped the way we drive, the way we connect, even the way we think about space and freedom, stepping forward with a voice louder than ever. And what he's saying, not comfortable, it's not safe, but it might be necessary. Their relationship began in an unusual alliance. Rooted in their shared disdain for bloated systems, their love for American power, and their passion for disrupting the status quo, at one point, it even looked like Musk and Trump were cut from the same cloth to renegades who refused to play by the rules. But now, that cloth has torn in half, revealing raw truths and conflicting ideologies that neither man can ignore. In 2025, that alliance shattered in front of the entire nation. What began as a few offhand comments from Musk about Trump's new economic plan, ironically named the One Big Beautiful Bill, rapidly devolved into a full-on public feud. The bill, aimed at gutting green initiatives and supercharging fossil fuel subsidies, was slammed by Musk as an abomination, a betrayal of innovation, and a short-sighted play for political clout. For someone who has invested billions into electric vehicles and solar energy, it felt personal. Musk's criticism wasn't calculated. It was volcanic. It shocked politicians, disappointed Trump supporters, and forced the media to confront a question no one had asked out loud. Had Elon Musk just declared war on Donald Trump? Behind closed doors, the reaction from Trump was immediate and severe. According to multiple sources close to the former president, Trump didn't just see Musk's words as criticism, he saw them as betrayal. In a private Oval Office meeting, it's reported that Trump accused Musk of suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, claiming the billionaire had forgotten who helped make him relevant. He reportedly fumed about SpaceX's federal contracts, Tesla's reliance on government subsidies, and the media attention Musk gained during Trump's presidency. But instead of backing down, Musk did something that sent shockwaves across political circles. He went public, and he went personal. He took to his platform, X, formerly known as Twitter, and dropped a bombshell. Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Such ingratitude. The message spread like wildfire. Was Musk implying he had swayed the election in Trump's favor? Was he taking credit for keeping Trump's voice alive on social media? Whether it was ego, truth, or strategy, one thing was clear. This wasn't just a policy disagreement. This was a fracture in the foundations of influence between two men who had once shaped American momentum together. Then came the more chilling undertones. Musk began amplifying posts linking Trump to the Epstein scandal, reposting threads that painted a darker, more morally compromised image of the former president. When asked if Trump should be impeached, Musk responded with a simple, jarring yes. There was no nuance, no softening. It was a digital slap that echoed across newsrooms and campaign war rooms. The message was clear. Musk wasn't just walking away from Trump, he was actively dismantling the myth that had shielded Trump for years. Trump retaliated. He did it the only way he knows, how through power plays. Behind the scenes, reports surfaced that Trump was exploring ways to cut off Musk's companies from the federal pipeline. SpaceX contracts with NASA, Tesla's energy initiatives, and even federal transportation grants were now under review. Political insiders leaked conversations where Trump allegedly stated, if he wants to bite the hand that fed him, he'll go hungry. For Musk, this wasn't a petty squabble, it was a full-blown attempt to sabotage everything he'd built. But instead of spiraling, Musk responded with cold sarcasm and ruthless strategy. During a live stream Q&A, when asked about potential retaliation from Trump's camp, Musk smirked and said, maybe we'll just decommission the Crew Dragon and focus on Mars full-time. It was delivered like a joke, but beneath the humor was something real or signaled that he was willing to fight back, not just through tweets, but through vision. And that vision? It wasn't rooted in just engineering or technology. It was rooted in exposing systems, ideologies, and the quiet manipulation he believes is guiding the country into darkness. That's when Musk shifted the narrative. This wasn't about Trump anymore. It was about something much bigger, what he called weaponized empathy. According to Musk, America isn't falling apart because of poor leadership or inflation or climate change. It's collapsing under the weight of emotional manipulation disguised as compassion. In his eyes, both the left and right have abandoned logic, and in its place, they've built a political culture based on guilt, shame, and emotional coercion. And, surprisingly, Musk accuses Trump of falling into the same trap, using empathy as a form of control. In one viral panel discussion, Musk explained that modern political language is now engineered to silence dissent. If you question immigration policy, you're labeled heartless. If you critique healthcare spending, you hate the poor. If you suggest discipline in education, you're against children. Musk calls this phenomenon a silent killer, where policies that sound generous are used as shields for corruption and decay. He says people are no longer trained to think, they're trained to feel. And that's dangerous. It makes it impossible to question policies without being demonized. It turns national discourse into a minefield where facts no longer matter, lie narratives do. Musk's biggest fear? That this emotional manipulation is pushing the West into what he called civilizational suicide. A society, he says, that loses the ability to defend its values or protect its own people cannot survive. And in this weaponized environment, even Trump, for all his bravado and rebellion, plays the game. Musk warns that unless Americans wake up, unless they start recognizing how empathy is being used against them, the collapse will be cultural first and irreversible second. And perhaps nowhere is this cultural decay more evident than in the American healthcare system, which Musk argues is not just broken, it's quietly being hollowed out from within. He's taken a bold stance that will likely offend many, that immigration policy and medical labor are colliding in ways that threaten national independence. Musk claims hospitals are pushing for looser immigration, not for moral reasons, but to fill jobs cheaply. Young Americans, he says, can no longer afford to become doctors. Medical school debt, years of unpaid residency, and poor quality of life are driving domestic talent away. And instead of fixing that, leaders are importing labor from overseas. This, he warns, is like renting civilization. You borrow the talent, but it doesn't stay forever. He's especially critical of states like California, which are spending billions to provide full health care benefits to undocumented immigrants. What started as a $3 billion program, Musk says, is now pushing toward $9 billion and rising. That number will scale to infinity, he said. If it's free, why wouldn't everyone come? He's not just worried about cost, he's worried about collapse. The wealthy will always find care. But the average citizen? They're already waiting hours in emergency rooms, weeks for specialist appointments, and years for systemic reform that never comes. Musk proposes a radical solution: AI-driven medical education and diagnosis systems. Believes that by speeding up training and supplementing human labor with machine precision, America can rebuild its healthcare workforce from the ground up. Some call it idealistic. Others say it's the only option left, and just when you think Musk has said everything, he opens the vault on something even deeper, the shadow world of how the U.S. government really operates behind closed doors. What he calls the Doge experiment, Musk reveals an internal initiative, largely unknown to the public, called the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. It sounds like a joke. It isn't. According to Musk, this task force was created to audit federal agencies / waste, enforce rapid accountability inside Washington's slow-moving bureaucracies. It was modeled after Silicon Valley startups lean fast and focused on results. Musk describes how the team discovered billions in lost funds, entire departments running without audits, and expensive programs that hadn't served their intended purpose in decades. One federal agency, he claims, spent millions on equity training, while failing to meet basic service goals. Another hadn't reconciled its finances in 10 years. He called it a quiet disaster, not a conspiracy, but incompetence hiding in plain sight. Predictably, Doge became a lightning rod. Critics accused Musk of pushing corporate ideology into public service. But Musk stood firm, saying government is not sacred. It's just another system, and systems must be optimized. Many departments pushed back, hiding behind red tape. But Musk wasn't afraid to pull the curtain. Whether or not Doge survives the political backlash remains to be seen. But the message Musk is sending is clear. He is not just building rockets or cars anymore. He is challenging the foundation of how power works in America. And whether you see him as a visionary, a villain, or something in between, one thing is certain. Elon Musk is no longer staying silent about Donald Trump or anyone else. Stick around because what happens next could change everything. The fallout from the Musk-Trump conflict didn't just live online. It hit the real world with full force. Tesla's stock suffered its most brutal single-day drop in nearly 5 years, tumbling as much as 18% during intraday trading before regaining some ground and closing down 14.3%, a loss of over $47 per share. Investors were rattled, and not without reason. For years, Musk's business empire has been intricately tied to federal contracts and subsidies, ties that Trump was now threatening to sever publicly. The $38 billion in government support funneled into SpaceX and Tesla over the last 2 decades wasn't just symbolic, it was structural. These weren't handouts. They were lifelines that powered innovation, supported infrastructure, and paid thousands of employees. But suddenly, with one political grudge, the foundation under Musk's companies looked fragile. Investors feared a domino effect. If the federal government cut ties, how long before other institutions followed? And while the markets were trembling, the conflict hit home, literally. Elon Musk's father, Elon Musk, broke his silence in an interview from a Delhi airport lounge. In a tone both concerned and direct, he called his son's public battle with Trump a mistake. He claimed both men were under immense pressure and that this very public feud was costing more than either of them likely anticipated. Errol said he urged Elon to de-escalate to make sure this fizzled out before it spiraled into irreversible damage, both politically and personally. This was more than fatherly advice. It was a window into the personal toll this high stakes war was taking. When families start pleading for peace, the conflict has crossed a line. According to Errol, the emotional weight behind this clash wasn't just ideological, it was personal, grueling and exhausting. But by then, the damage was already radiating far beyond boardrooms and family phone calls. What had started as a disagreement over policy had morphed into a seismic event that could disrupt vital national programs, rattle financial stability, and cast doubt over the future of American innovation. And then came the deeper layer. The threat not just to Musk's companies, but to the very vision he's fought to build. When Musk acquired Twitter in 2022 for $44 billion, it wasn't just about social media. It was about reshaping digital society. Promised a town square where free speech could thrive, unfiltered by political agendas or corporate algorithms. The transformation into X was supposed to symbolize rebirth, a return to messy, honest, and uncensored dialogue. Under Musk, moderation was pulled back, banned accounts were reinstated, and blue-check verification was democratized. But now, Trump's retaliation looms like a shadow over the entire platform. If Musk is forced to liquidate assets or refocus on more financially secure ventures, even 10, his self-declared free speech battleground could become collateral damage. Because unlike isolated startups, Musk's empire is interconnected. Profits from Tesla and SpaceX help fuel his more ideological and experimental projects, including X Neuralink and XAI. When you strike at one, you weaken the others. Musk's ambitions stretch far beyond tweets. Neuralink, his brain-machine interface company, aims to tackle neurological disorders while exploring the potential for enhanced cognition, a fusion of man and machine that's as daring as it is controversial. Meanwhile, his XAI initiative is focused on creating artificial general intelligence, not just smart machines, but truly thinking systems that align with human ethics and survival. These are not garage startups. They're moonshots, the kinds of projects that demand regulatory goodwill, massive capital, and public trust, all of which become infinitely harder to secure when you're at war with one of the most powerful political figures in the world. And let's not forget the crown jewel of Musk's vision, Mars, through SpaceX. Musk is building a future where humanity isn't confined to Earth, a self-sustaining colony on another planet, a backup plan for civilization. But none of it is possible without the full cooperation of NASA, the U.S. military, and ongoing government support. If Trump pulls that plug, it doesn't just hurt Musk. It potentially sets American space exploration back decades and gives other nations, particularly adversaries, the upper hand in a new kind of space race. The investor world is taking note. Confidence is waning. Analysts are beginning to question whether Musk's ever-growing political involvement is doing more harm than good. Tesla, once the undisputed leader in electric vehicles, is now facing stiffer competition and a shifting market. Divided focus across multiple ventures, and shareholders are asking whether his crusades are starting to cost them real money. There's also the looming risk of customer alienation. Some view Musk's boldness as heroic, others see it as reckless. And in a global marketplace, perception is everything. The longer this battle drags on, the more it threatens to chip away at the very empire Musk has spent decades building. So now the question lands in your hands. Is Elon Musk exposing the truth about Donald Trump? Is he peeling back the layers on a political machine that needs scrutiny? Or is he stoking flames that will burn everyone involved? Has Musk become the last honest man in a broken system? Or is this just ego disguised as ethics? One thing's for certain, the future of technology, business, and even space itself might hinge on what happens next. Let us know what you think. Is this a wake-up call or a war with no winner?